Saybrook Board of Education is holding a special meeting to address literacy rate concerns in the district. An independent report revealed shortfalls at the Goodwin Elementary School in town, and that's where you find your reporter Amanda Callahan with what we can expect to hear tonight. Amanda.
Stephanie, the only item on the agenda for tonight is to discuss literacy issues here at Goodwin Elementary School. A 33-page independent report done by UConn made some recommendations to the district, but board members are expected to discuss what else can be done to help these students. Parents of students had been asking for a review of the school's curriculum, which is what prompted the independent review. The report found the curriculum has limited spelling instruction and minimal guidance for writing instruction. Parents have been voicing concerns that their kids are behind. The report made 6 recommendations to try and get students back on track, including hiring a full-time literacy coach in the short term and in the long term performing an outside audit on special education programming. The district superintendent says the interview process will begin next week to hire a literacy coach at Goodwin, but the discussion continues tonight about what else can be done. The meeting will begin in a half hour at 6 at the Board of Ed building. Anyone is welcome to come to voice their concerns or things they want to talk about before the board. We'll be inside and bring you an update in Eyewitness News tonight at 11. Reporter live in Old Saybrook, Amanda Callahan, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Amanda, thank you.